When the average controller holder or keyboard elitist speak about the Borderlands, it's usually about the second one, the cool one, the one with Jack Hansomton of the Hyperion Corporation. But not this time, because IceBeatsDragon took it upon myself to boot my ass to the past and prance around Pandora in its original state for 2 reasons. First is for my own curiosity, because I've never played the first game. The second is to find out if the first in line can hold its own in today's wonder hell of a video game lineup. So pretend I did a really cool segue. Wait. Tell your pistons to piss off, because I've already found a few issues issued in this issue of the game. See, the vanilla port runs just fine, but I had the luxury of finding out that the Game of the Year edition, the only one that's available on Steam right now, has a memory leaking issue, causing my PC to produce the piss poor performance I precisely didn't pay for. Luckily, solving this problem isn't actually that hard. Using the knowledge of the ancient ones on Reddit and downloading some sketchy stuff, my issue was then resolved. I'm also running the Essentials mod so I can fast travel around from absolutely anywhere. The game started like it usually does, with Marcusius IV saying his famous line.
So, you want to hear a story, huh?
Sadly, there's less meat in this story than a vegan salad. I'll tell you the same story, but with less words. Once upon a time, there was a vault hunter who was hunting for a vault. But he did. The end. I know. Simply riveting, isn't it? Such elegant use of the English lexicon hath yet been used in such a distinguished manner until then. Anyway, the cinematic intro played, and then I got to choose my shooter, looter, treasure, pursuer. My options were between Roland, Mordecai, Brick, and Lilith, characters I'd see as NPCs in the hit game Borderlands the sequel. The gameplay you're seeing right now is from my second playthrough, where I chose Lilith, because who doesn't want to be a bandit-killing space baddie with magical siren powers? I know I do. I would low-key later come to regret this decision. On my way off the bus, Angel from the hit game Borderlands 2 invades my private real estate of my thoughts and desires just to tell me that I should meet a funny little robot. And so, in a strange turn of events, I met a funny little robot. Turns out Claptrap doesn't get his personality fully installed until game 2. I could have sworn this guy would have spawned in with faulty circuitry from the very beginning, but I suppose not. He hands me an echo device and then cowers in fear as the local banditos jump the fence into the soon-to-be hub of operations. When Claptrapperton opened the gate, I finally got my first taste of combat. I aimed down sights with my pre-installed pocket rocket and pulled the trigger. And that's when I realized, these guns are whack. Like, Jesus Christ, they're bad. They felt a little better later on, but that's probably because of the proficiency system that make the guns feel better the more you use them. But early game, it's like shooting with a limp shrimp. And after target practice was over, I got introduced to the local medical practitioner who sends me on a quest to endanger the skag population. But before that, I pushed my KD to even greater heights and helped Claptrapperton back to his wheel so he'd stop playing with his disk drive in public. The skags have now been bagged, and now Peter had valid reason to harass me online. Then I went back to Zed, and he sent me on a mission to collect stuff. This is also when I opened the skill tree and was greeted with this. Look at it, where's the rest of it? My immeasurable disappointment of seemingly meaningless point distribution aside, I got the goods and brought it back to the dock so I could buy a shield, to which I was then informed that I angered one of the bandit leaders with my recent activities. Naturally, I had to respond in the most appropriate way possible, by flatlining even more bandits. Then I met yet another humble employer in the hustle and bustle of this lovely land of waste. After purchasing some danger balls, I was off to the first boss of the game. On my way, I unlocked Lilith's phase walk ability, and I was pleasantly let down. It's a fun ability, it just doesn't hit hard, like at all, ever. After I made the goons be gone, I stepped all over Nine Toes and his meddling dogs, and then I stole his gun, and got lost looking for the exit. The next move was to restore the catch-a-ride station, so I can move vehicularly. In a surprising twist, some bandit has the parts I needed, which meant I had to bestow upon him the curse of the unalive. Or I would've until I peeped his level and realized I was completely outmatched. So I turned around and bravely ran in the other direction. If I was gonna put holes in Bonehead's head, I was gonna need to get some XP. And that's when I went doing side quests. I got rocked by a skag, and I got ambushed while picking flowers. But in the end, it was worth it. Now I was fully equipped with the tools needed to put holes in Bonehead's head and grab the part for the catch-a-ride. At last, I can travel Pandora vehicularly. The next head on my hit list was Sledge. But before I could leave my boot print on his front door, I was gonna need the key to the mine. To acquire such an item, I headed to the substation, but something was really framing my loins about this place. The substation is where the atmosphere finally sunk its teeth in. See, Borderlands as a series is known for being colorful, chaotic, and wielding a unique brand of funny ha-has that no other game does quite like Borderlands.
Wait, which I will once I'm totally convinced you understand the instructions that I'm relaying to you. Do you understand? I know it's kind of complicated, but just stick with me, okay? Look, when it's okay for you to shoot this gate with the cannon, I'll say something like, shoot the gate with the cannon, man!
But Borderlands 1 is an entirely different entity. The color palette is made of washed, earthy tones, the background ambience feels weird and creepy, even the voice lines from the bandits sound like legitimate threats instead of the usual jumbled word gumbo. The most unsettling detail has to be the laugh the player character makes randomly sometimes. It just feels like a weird reminder that everyone in Pandora is fried upstairs, including you. Alright, that got a bit dark, so I'm just gonna move on like nothing happened. I ran through the substation, putting the barrel to both the big and the small, until I made it to the end where I had to square up against a mutant cycle. It was clear to me now that the devs didn't concern themselves with such frivolous terminology like game balancing and playability when they designed these early bosses. Like, I'm only 3 levels under Muscle Man over here, and I'm dishing out so little hurt. I swear I'm taking more damage than him, emotionally. It doesn't help that he has a tendency to drop a little explosive affection in my direction with massive AoE effectiveness. Suddenly, during one of my many walks of shame, opportunity struck, a golden ray of hope in my time of despair. The big bastard got stuck trying to enter my no-no zone, in the perfect spot for me to take aim at his brain without the risk of forced reincarnation. Now Muscle Man was dead and the key was now mine, which meant that it was time for Sledge's mine to be my mine. What? I headed to the mines where exterminating the unnecessary wasn't necessarily difficult. But that all changed when I finally got to Sledge's doom room. Oh, I was so confident. I thought I was gonna wipe his ass like toilet paper. Eventually I emptied his health bar by walking him in circles like a COD zombie and got the first piece of the key. This is also when Commandant Steele makes her first appearance, telling me I've been a naughty boy with all the authoritative power of a self-righteous hall monitor telling me not to run in the hallway. The next area was all filler and had the most dookie buns booty blasting boss fight in the game. What could have been an eventful day at the Demolition Derby turned out to be 3 bandits giving me back shots till I exploded from behind. Eventually, after many respawns, I got him. With Mad Mel now melted away, I was able to go to New Haven, but I blocked Green Trap's way and he couldn't reach the door. At New Haven, Helena sends me to turn on generators literally anybody else could have done, but no, she waited to make the murderous errand boy do it. Lucky me, the generators were finally generating and I was in need of vault knowledge, so Helena sent me to find Tannis in the Rust Commons. In the land of danger and despair, I was literally mere meters from Tannis' doorstep when I got jumped by the formidable and somehow unkillable Mega Spant. See, I combined the words spider and ant. Luckily, I dropped it by giving its thorax a little tickle, and then immediately got jumped by a gang of stupid ratbirds. I finally got to Tannis and was expecting some kind of cool name intro, cause you know, she's kind of important to the plot and stuff, but nah. She just sends me to go find some vagrant in a junkyard because apparently he has the second key piece and supposedly he's hoarding Tannis' undergarments too. Perhaps I can strike a deal. For the key, of course. I showed up at Earl's door to inquire about my desires, but instead he hands me his weekly shopping list. I had no choice but to oblige to his urgency of Uber Eats, so off I went. Odd Jobs Ice back at it again. After decreasing Pandora's population even further, I successfully secured his sustenance, so surely a key awaits me as compensation, right? Oh, how wrongable I was. Turns out my key incest was in another key castle, a very heavily fortified key castle guarded by psycho bandits and some jackass with a turret. But before I could play bandits and bridges, I needed some XP. While I was aside side questing, I decided to check the vending machine and was left absolutely bricked by the luxurious piece of ouchie administration that was available for my acquisition. Without even the slightest bit of hesitation, I dropped coin for that immediately, dog. For those who are unaware of the lore, the Anarchy is one of, if not the best gun in the whole game, and it's because instead of shooting a singular piece of lead per shot, it sprays death confetti just like a shotgun. a fully automatic shotgun with 69 bullets in its mag. I was now equipped with the excellence of execution in my grips and ready to eradicate that dirty mountain camper guarding my vault key. Clearing the bandits was the hard part, mainly because of these strategically placed barrels Crom placed strategically. Crom, on the other hand, got double cheek clapperinoed by my instrument of involuntary violation. Getting fingerprints on the last Dragon Ball was honestly pretty anticlimactic. I was supposed to head to the trash coast, but to get there I needed to add another head to my hit list. Just like Crom, I entered another training arc beforehand to even the playing field. With our power levels now matching, it only took a slight application of agony to annihilate another enemy. Then I spoke to Edge Trap and the trash coast was now open. I was finally able to collect the last piece. All I had to do was apply a lethal dose of lead injection to this woolly mammoth. Its name is the Rack Hive, but I prefer calling it the Coochie Mammoth. For obvious reasons. The fight wasn't as derriere destroying as I thought it would be. I didn't even need my resident wonder weapon. All it does is spawn squadrons of kamikaze birds every now and then, and they drop ammo when you drop them. With the deed did, I was finally able to collect the final piece. Or so I thought. When I handed the last piece to Tannis, she all of a sudden tells me there's actually a mystical fourth piece of the key that she had, but some troglodyte stopped by and yoinked it from her, and now I have to go get it back. But first, I have to go save her personal claptrap unit that got captured by the Crimson Lance and is being held captive in Old Haven. Not to be confused with New Haven. The new New Haven after the old New Haven became Old New Haven. Who the hell even writes this stuff? Oh yeah. Sneaking into Old Haven was simple enough until I butted heads with the Tin Men. These Crimson Lance guys were just built absurdly. It's okay though, I discovered that these guys are like the only enemies in the game who fall victim to corrosive damage. At least that's what it looks like. The new residents of Old Haven just got given a lifetime eviction, and then Whiteclap was freed. Now all that's left is the totally not made up for whatever reason fourth key that 100% exists, I think. Bill Flinton's hideout was in the Salt Flats, which had neither salt nor was flat. To gain access to Fort Flint, I was going to need to prove myself in vehicular combat. This went considerably better than last time. It wasn't long before I was blasting away at the buckshot brandishing band of bandits as they barely bruised my behind with their barrage of backshots. The bottom floor was clear, and I made it to the lift where I would finally get to open fire on Captain Flint, except I was going to have to clear a couple waves of his Psychonauts first. Even at this point in the game, the Anarchy is still the most reliable life taker I got tucked away. Once his goons were gone, I turned his ass to ash with the utmost of ease. Anyway, it turns out Tannis brazenly bamboozled me into thinking that there's a fourth key piece just so she could postman the key straight to Commandant Steele's door. Then Angel tells me that I gotta Uma Musume my way ASAP because the vault's about to be open for business. I made my way through some dumb cave that was conveniently connected to the Lance's base. It's here that I squared off against the Iridian tech-abusing Legionnaires and found Tannis rightfully locked up for pulling a Sly Cooper on me in favor of that stainless heathen. She tells me to restore the Echo Net, which requires me to battle my way through the Lance and flip the 3 levers in 3 different bases. In an act of pure self-proclaimed genius, I use my garbage-tier phase walk ability to sneak past the guards in an attempt to speedrun network restoration. Okay, the Wi-Fi is back on. Now, it's time. No more odd jobs, no more key pieces, only vault. The path leading to the vault is crowded with the Lance and the Iridians brawling it out before me, which was the perfect opportunity for me to third party everyone at the same time. This area was easily the most annoying section of the whole game. It basically requires me to have some sort of long-range shock applicator to deal with all the Iridian shields. Oh, and I simply adored the cross-map life-threatening light show from the floating sky aliens. Luckily, once you drop their shield, it only takes like 2 shots to empty their HP bar. I finally fought my way to the vault, and as it turns out, so did Lady Stainless. She tells me I'm too late and opens the vault only for one of H.P. Lovecraft's horror concepts to give her the Madara treatment, leaving me to deal with Vel'Koz from the indie classic League of Legends all alone. This might have been the last dish on the menu, but the mechanics were still pretty simple. Just shoot the eye, and then at around half HP, shoot the tentacles and the eye, and watch out for the ghost crags. In true Vel'Koz fashion, he eventually started spamming laser beams, but as long as I stayed behind cover, I was fine. Overall, the fight's alright. My only complaint is that there's no vending machine before the brawl begins, because I used most of my murder juice on the enemies outside only to waltz into the fight with a near empty artillery. In the end, I sent that multi-armed monstrosity back to the abyss and got rewarded with a bunch of chests containing some straight heat that I was probably never gonna use. So that was it. I've gone from cover to cover. So here's what I think. Overall, the game is mid, a flat 5 out of 10, and here's why. The story felt like a deflated tire. It was moving forward, but I couldn't feel any motion. The Crimson Lance didn't show up to rattle my bones until the very end, even though stainless steel was in my ears since Sledge got sidelined. The side quests were too vanilla and generic. Grab it, kill it, give it, done. The skills didn't do what they usually did. I spent most of my time emptying magazines, which did the job just fine. There just wasn't as much build variety in the skill trees as I would have hoped. I tried doing some elemental stuff with Lilith in the beginning, but that was like drinking soda without the fizz. I defaulted back to crit damage and bullet velocity halfway through and was steamrolling the rest of the game. However you feel about the atmosphere is subjective. I found the uncanny ease of madness and danger settling into the crevices of my mind in a way I began to enjoy. Everything from the visuals to the background ambience force you to remember that you're treading steps in a not so empty wasteland of the bloodthirsty and the psychotically ill. That's kind of my jam, but I still think the goofy chaos of the newer games is more unique and recognizable. It might be a 5 out of 10, but I still enjoyed it. Objectively, this wasn't a grand expedition, but personally I had a splendid time. I think it mainly comes from how simple the game is. I didn't need to sweat or think too hard about my build, and there wasn't endless dialogue slowing the game down to a crawl when all I wanted to do was Swiss cheese some enemies. But does it hold up in 2025? As a game? Sure. As a Borderlands game? Nah. I think the series has gone too far for Borderlands 1 to keep up. Anyway, that's the video. Thanks for watching. If you guys got suggestions for other games I should play, just let me know. Alright, bye.